Blog Talk Radio.
The CDC says more than 1 million Americans are already infected. It's safe for children to get vaccinated. The swine flu's coming back like a viral attack. It's like 7 to 6. You gotta cover your back, but not with the vaccine. Don't give in to that, because those medical quacks are making money off that.
They wanna inject you, infect you with the vaccine and say they protect, but they reject your immunity. And if you protest, they arrest you and they lock you down.
Can have people like that walking around contagious? The truth is outrageous. Don't you know the drug companies made this flu? And if you're thinking you wanna evade this, then you gotta say this. Don't inject me, don't infect me. Don't stick that needle in my arm and chemically wreck me. Don't inject me, don't infect me. Don't stick that needle in my veins and medically wreck me. Don't use me, don't abuse me. Don't push your medical lies and try to confuse me. Don't trick me, don't you dick me. With that needle in your hand, don't you dare try to prick me.
Welcome to Cosmic Horizons Radio, the show that hopes to open up your mind and ears to all of the possibilities that are out there. On today's show, we're just waiting for our calling guest, Mr. Rodney Cluff, author of The Hollow Earth. We're going to talk to Rodney a little bit about this Hollow Earth, if there really is a Hollow Earth, and if there's a civilization that resides inside of the Hollow Earth. You know, when I went to high school and even college, there was a lot of speculation. We were told what the inner Earth is made up of a molten center, but apparently Mr. Cluff is supposed to be leading an expedition sometime in the distant future to find the entrance in the Arctic to Hollow Earth. An entrance which they expect will lead to a utopian civilization that they say is already there with its own sun. There's been a lot of speculation about Hollow Earth, and some conspiracy theories say it goes all the way back to the days of Hitler and World War II, that he actually entered an opening that led down from Earth to Hollow Earth, which was a world inside of a world. The theory goes that there is another civilization that lives in the inner Earth, and its heat supplied by a molten mass at the Earth's core. Now, a lot of people have speculation about this, but apparently there's supposed to be an expedition that is leaving very soon to find that entrance to Hollow Earth. And the Hollow Earth Research Society of Ontario, Canada, says there is a Nazi civilization that still exists today in inner Earth. After the war, as many as 2,000 German scientists simply disappeared. That's a fact. Whether they went with Hitler, the theory goes to this entrance in Hollow Earth. Not only had the subterranean civilization swelled in the 60-plus years since World War II, but nefarious scientific research continued. Breeding was strictly controlled. Those with brown eyes need not apply. Great sinister strides had been made in aviation. Gravity was no longer a hindrance to flight. That explained perhaps the UFO phenomena, and it was within inner Earth that Nazis flew through the opening into our sky to observe us. That explains why some witnesses describe UFO pilots as blonde and blue eyes. More conspiracy, what they call conspiracy theories, that gears towards the inner Earth. Now, of course, the world below has long been a part of Christian theology. Some people say it was a fiery place where bad boys and bad girls go after showing up at the pearly gates and getting the thumbs down from St. Peter. Hollow Earth theories that involve life rather than the afterlife entered public consciousness through old science fiction stories written by Jules Verne, Edgar Allan Poe, and, of course, Edgar Rice Burroughs. Cyrus Tweed, a late 19th century alchemist from upstate New York, theorized that our civilization was on the inside of our globe rather than the outside as we believed, and that the stars were floating pieces of ice at the Earth's center. Gravity, of course, was a fallacy. Things fell back to the ground because of centrifugal force. He founded a religion based on his inadvertent world theory and changed his name to Koresh. His Korean commune in Chicago, Illinois, was founded in 1888. More things that some people led to the theory of hollow earth. What is in Earth? Is there a civilization there? With us on the line to talk a little bit more about the hollow earth theory is my guest today, Mr. Rodney Cluff. We're going to get Mr. Cluff on the air. Hello, Rodney, and welcome to Cosmic Horizons Radio.
Yeah, okay. Good to be with you today.
Well, I'm sure glad you joined us. We had a little bit of a storm up here in Toronto, Canada, and you know, a lot of the internet connections were down. But I'm glad to see you're up on the air, live from Arizona, is it?
Yeah, Sun City, Arizona. We have beautiful sunshiny weather down here.
Well, Rodney, we were talking a little bit earlier in the program about the hollow earth theory and how it goes back to some people's beliefs in the Nazis actually used it as a porthole to escape the Second World War, and how a lot of these UFO sightings have interconnections to actually flying from the inner Earth crust. Can you tell us a little bit about you and how you got involved in this hollow earth theory?
Yes, well, I was working on a farm in New Mexico when I was 16, and the farm manager's son was telling some of the boys about the hollow earth theory. He had just read Raymond Bernard's book, I believe, about it, and that's where I got the information is from the guy I was working with. Mm-hmm. So later when I moved to Phoenix, Arizona, I was looking in the newspaper, and it was a tabloid newspaper, had an advertisement for Raymond Bernard's books. So I sent for it, and then I started my research from there into whether the hollow earth theory was valid or not, and I've come up with so much evidence from history, from scriptures, and from science that I've compiled in my book, The World Top Secret: Our Earth is Hollow, available on my website, ourhollowearth.com. And over the years, I've been contacted by different people that have, including people that have been to the hollow earth, and have read of stories of other people that have been there, and the wonderful place that it is.
Now, you mentioned just a minute ago that you actually talked to some people that actually journeyed into this hollow earth. Was it, or you just you just read that article?
Well, I actually talked with Hank Crossman. Mm-hmm. He lived in Arizona, and back in the 60s, he was attending Northern Arizona University, and he had contacted the Hopi elders up in Northern Arizona, and asked them if he had heard that they had an opening into the hollow earth, and he asked them if it would be possible if they would give him permission to go there. Mm-hmm. And they told him that they give him their permission that he would meet somebody there at the university, and that would take him. And so he had just started school when this guy walks up to him. He turned out to be the great-grandson of Jacob Waltz, the Dutchman of the Lost Dutchman mine of the Superstition Mountains fame. He had befriended him. His name was Carl Kopavi mm-hmm. Waltz, and Jacob Waltz, his great-grandfather, had married a Hopi Indian, and that's how he was a descendant of the Hopis and this mm-hmm. Jacob Waltz, who was from Holland. And the interesting story about him is I got from another person that has gone to the hollow earth. His name is retired Colonel Billy Woodard. And Billy Woodard was raised by Indians in the military when he was growing up, and he lived out there by Apache Junction, by the Superstition Mountain. And at one point, he said one of the elders of the Indians took him up there in the Superstition Mountains and one evening, and he says, "Wait right here," and he walked ahead a little bit farther, and when he came back, he says, "It's all clear." And so they go up farther, and they up this canyon, you know, and they come to the canyon wall, and he says, "We'll just walk right in here." And he says, it looked just like the canyon wall, but they could just walk right through it. It was a holographic image protecting the entrance. And they went into this cavern where Jacob Waltz had been asked by the Indians to take some salt down to a tribe that lives inside the earth down in the caverns. And they had a lot of gold down there, but they don't have any salt. And so they had asked the Indians if they would send somebody down there with salt, and they would pay them in gold. And the Indians, they didn't want to go, so they got this Jacob Waltz to go down there, the Lost Dutchman. And they paid him in gold for the salt that he would take down there. And well, Billy Woodard was taken by this I don't know which tribe of the Indians that took him in there, but he took him into the cavern there, and into a room of the cavern was a stash of Jacob Waltz's gold. He says they're 4 inches wide, 4 inches tall, and 4 inches long. Cubes of gold that they would pay him for the salt. So there really is not a mine of the Lost Superstition mine, Dutchman mine. It's really just a stash of his gold that he got for trading in the salt. And then back to the story of Hank Crossman, who went with a great-grandson of Jacob Waltz. He was up to the Northern Arizona University when he befriended this guy. He was just a young fellow in his 20s. And after becoming friends, he says, "Would you like to go with me to the Hollow Earth through the Grand Canyon?" And he said, "Sure would." And they took him up to the Grand Canyon. He blindfolded him so he wouldn't know how to get there. And they rode, he says, for hours and hours on their donkeys, or mules, I can't remember which. But they were on these trails in the Grand Canyon. And finally he says, "Get off, you can take your band off, blindfold off, and you can get off in your mount, and come over here to the wall of the canyon, and stick your hand in the canyon wall, touch the canyon wall." Well, he went to touch the canyon wall, and his hand went right into the wall, okay? He pulls his hand out, looks at it, looks the same, nothing happened to it.
Yeah.
And Carl, he laughed, and he says, "It's just an image. It's just a holographic image that covers the entrance to this cavern. We can just walk right through." So they walked right through it into this cavern. It's all lit up with electric lights. They go back way up into the cavern. There is a vehicle that took them down into the earth. Okay, sort of like an elevator, I guess.
Right.
And it took them 800 miles to the inner surface. Just before they got to the inner surface, they come out in this room. And there's a whole bunch of doors. And he goes up to this one door, and he puts his hand up on it, and the door opens. And he asks Carl, "Well, what about all these other doors?" He says, "Well, those other doors is places you don't want to go. And that's for if anybody gets this far, you know, they probably go through the wrong door, because they'd have to know which door to go through."